British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good afternoon and welcome to BCIT's The Crow. I'm your host, Alessio Cusano, and here are your news headlines to 11:30. BC Conservative leader John Rustad has unveiled a plan that, if elected, will bring local power generation to Northwest BC that will lower energy costs for residents. Smithers, Terrace, Kitimat, and Prince Rupert are just some of the communities facing an energy crisis. Rustad said that local solutions are key to affordable power for the region. This plan will include usage of sustainable wood waste and natural gas. Rustad added, quote, "The Conservative Party of British Columbia believes in local solutions for local communities," end quote, as well as we will produce the power locally to make it cheaper and ensure that the people of the Northwest get the energy security they deserve while reducing natural gas delivery charges for everyone. Premier David Eby had an unexpected guest at his press conference earlier today. During the conference, a wasp flew down his shirt and stung the NDP leader. Eby was delivering remarks in Chilliwack on Thursday, while the election campaign trail was when the insect rode up to him, prompting him to swat at his neck and identify it as a bug. But seconds later, he was apparently stung, scrunching up his face in a grimace as he told reporters it was a bee that had made ways down his collar. In fact, it was a yellow jacket that Eby eventually flung to the ground, where it was later stepped on by a member of his staff. The interruption was reminiscent of the moment in 2022 when Ontario Premier Doug Ford accidentally swallowed a bee during a news conference. Eby said he was fine after being stung, but the encounter was probably fatal for the insect. BC residents can find out who has won next month's election in about the same amount of time it took to start counting ballots in previous votes. Andrew Watson with Elections BC says new electronic vote tabulators mean officials are aiming to have half of the preliminary results substantially complete within an hour of polls closing on October 19th. In previous elections, which involved manual counting, that is, Watson said the tallying would start about 45 minutes after polls closed. This is BC's first general election using electronic tabulators after the system was tested in by-elections in 2022 and 2023. A 37-year-old woman was shot and killed by the RCMP in Surrey on September 19th. Our reporter, Emily Deneen, explains what happened on the scene.
Vanessa Renteria was a Colombian refugee who came to Surrey to provide a better life for herself and her 18-month-old daughter. While Renteria lived in Surrey, she stayed with her husband and her brother-in-law. There was alleged abuse from the husband, and Renteria asked for help from her friends. Her friends agreed to let her stay with them, and Renteria went to gather her things. Renteria never returned to her friends, and they called the police to check on her. When police arrived to the scene, they learned that Renteria locked herself in the bathroom with her daughter, and she had a knife. Shortly after, 3 bullets were shot at Renteria, and she died on the scene. Emily Deneen, BCIT's The Crow.
After hours of deliberation and public submissions, the Squamish District Council rejected FortisBC's application for a temporary use permit to house workers. Reporter Sophie Hansen has more on the rejection.
The temporary use permit would have allowed for the construction and eventual use of temporary housing by hundreds of local and non-local workers hired by FortisBC. Public submissions were heard, most outlining serious concerns for the community and the environment. Jackie Williams, a Squamish Nation member and advocate, says the rejection of Permit 73 is very promising for the future of Squamish. Williams also urged all levels of government to engage directly with those impacted by proposals like this. Sophie Hansen, BCIT's The Crow.
Now on to the weather. In Burnaby, it is 13 degrees and has now started to lightly rain. Those were your 2 p.m. news headlines. I'm Alessio Cusano, and you are listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and
This is 1680 The Crow, and you're listening to our feature presentation.
Reffing in sports can be a very thankless job, especially at the professional level where every mistake made is discussed, while when refs do a good job, it is often not acknowledged. Hockey Canada reported a decline from 33,000 refs to 16,000. With less and less officials on the ice at the youth level, there are less coming up to the higher levels in the future. Today I spoke with Brad Ewing. Brad is a young, up-and-coming ref about to begin his first year officiating pro hockey. What started your reffing journey? What got you into reffing?
When I was a little kid, I used to love doing all the penalty calls when I would watch the games. I was like a little 4-year-old kid doing little flashing calls. So when I was 12 years old and I was able to referee, I signed up for the clinic here in Langley. And we were pretty close friends with the referee-in-chief, Ed Adams, at the time. And he was my mentor as a kid and kind of just got into it naturally, doing minor hockey and little H3 kids and H4 kids.
Cool. And so I was just like, obviously reffing is such a thankless job at times. I'm just wondering what you enjoy about reffing now.
I enjoy the challenge. I'm a very competitive person, whether it be anything in life, obviously hockey, golf. And the competitiveness is with yourself, because the expectation for referees and linesmen it's perfection. Are we ever going to be perfect? No, but the challenge to try and be perfect is what keeps me going.
And what does it take to get to the higher levels? Obviously, you're starting to climb the ranks a bit here. So what has it taken to get to this point, and what will it take to get further along in your career?
It's taken a lot of hard work and a lot of patience. At times, I've thought about quitting or just giving up because things haven't really gone the way I wanted it to. But as far as like advice I've heard from different mentors and different higher level referees, they all have their own little things to add, but one message always holds true. It's to just dominate the level you're at. So I've always focused on just doing well in whatever level I am, and then the rest will work itself out. Somebody will see you. You will get noticed. You just got to keep working at it, and it might take an extra couple of years, but you just got to dominate the level you're at.
When you say things haven't gotten the way you wanted at some points, what are some of the experiences you've had that have been so challenging?
Just trying to break into higher levels. Originally, it was just trying to break into the junior level. I tried very hard. I was talking to all these different guys higher up in the program, trying to get my shot, and it felt like nobody was listening. Nobody really cared. Like it didn't feel like it was going right. I felt like I blew my shot or I missed my opportunity. All these guys that I had worked with, some of the guys that I had trained as a referee when they were younger were now surpassing me, and I felt like maybe I just got missed. But I just kept my nose to the grindstone, and eventually the right person saw me and the right person was able to help me.
Okay, awesome. And just like when it comes to having personal biases and stuff, like obviously you grew up a hockey fan, how do you kind of keep those biases out of your job? Like how do you differentiate the two?
Really, when you put the jersey on, everything kind of goes out the window. Like I've had to officiate my own teams that I've coached, and even a team that I played on, I've had to ref my own games. And when you put the jersey on, you're not on that team anymore. The bias has to go out the window. It's about integrity. And as a referee, you're serving the game. So you're not serving the two teams. You're not serving anybody personally on a bias factor. You're serving the game of hockey. And all you want is for it to be fair and safe. So the biases really, for me, they go out the window as soon as I put the jersey on and I step on the ice.
What levels are you reffing this year? Like what's coming up for you?
This year it'll be my second year doing Junior A in the BCHL, and it will be my first year in the American Hockey League. So it'll be my first year of professional hockey.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to say congrats on that. But so when you get to that level, what like the professional hockey level, what do you have to do day to day? Like, what's the travel like? How does all that work?
For my first year starting off here, I mean, the day to day for myself, obviously I'm working out quite a bit. I'm at the rink 7 days a week just because I'm involved with multiple hockey teams as a coach and multiple leagues as a ref. But the day to day, like, for example, this weekend here, I'm traveling to Vancouver Island. It's basically figure out travel plans, figure out ferries, what time I'm going to leave. Usually you're with somebody. So if it's a road trip or if you're flying, usually you'll be with somebody. So you and 1, 2, or even 3 other guys for a full crew will travel together. We'll get a hotel together. It's kind of, yeah, like we travel together. Everything's paid for, obviously. We have expenses and per diem and all that good stuff.
Okay. And then just like, can you talk about the community that's built between you and your colleagues, like that you're reffing with? Like, what kind of community do you guys have?
Yeah, we're all very close. We have multiple group chats. We all kind of stay up to date on what's going on in the league during any given day. We have a really, really good camaraderie. Something that I've learned very quickly as I've moved up the ranks here is that character is such a big thing for officials. If you don't have great character, there's a high chance you're not really going to be moving up. You need to be able to be a team player. You need to be able to get along with people, and you're going to have to be able to get along with a lot of different people because we all come from all walks of life. So the community is really good. If you're having any support, if you have questions, if it's a rule knowledge question, something about fitness, anything, everybody's really there to help you. We are all, in a way, competing against each other for the limited spots there are in higher leagues, but we are still a team. So the community is huge. After every game, we'll usually go out and grab dinner, try and get our mind either off the game or retrack what happened in the game. So it's a very tight community.
And what would you say to people who are up and coming, wanting to get into reffing? What kind of advice would you give? And do you think that there should be more people getting into reffing in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I am a trainer of new officials here in Langley, and I really try and get everybody I can into officiating. I honestly think it should be a mandatory thing for anybody who's playing hockey to officiate at least 1 or 2 years. Not only for the perspective you get on the game, players and coaches may not understand how the referee has to see the game and the actual challenges that come with it. I think it can make coaches better coaches. I think it can make players better players. My advice to anybody coming up the ranks is to just, again, dominate the league that you're in and have fun with it. It's the next best thing to playing. You're on the ice. You're involved in the game. Not many people get to do that. A lot of people are fans. You get fully sold out shows. The coaches on the bench, like, you are still on the ice. You're the next best thing. If you have a passion for hockey and you love to be a part of the game, it's something that you can do for a lot longer than a playing career can last. Whether that's at a high level or even just the minor hockey level, it's fun to serve the game and give back.
The reffing combine, could you just share that experience?
Yeah, no problem. So we got I got an invite. You have to apply. You get invited to apply to the Buffalo Combine. There's kind of 2 groups of people that go. There are people like myself that are up-and-coming officials trying to expose ourselves and our skills and showcase what we have to the NHL, and the other half of that would be the player portion, where guys that are playing right now, either in Europe or the American Hockey League or the East Coast League, they come to the Exposure Combine to be exposed to reffing. So some of these guys were putting on the jersey for the very first time, and just it's a way to get them into high-level hockey and a way to have them continue to be a part of the game when they're later on in their careers. And it's a lot of fun. It's a rigorous weekend of fitness testing, working out, lots of on ice, off ice, everything. It was a really, really cool experience, and I was really happy to be a part of it.
Thank you, Brad, for joining me today and sharing your experiences reffing and advice for future refs. Thank you for listening to For the Record. My name is Jacob Fraser for BCIT's The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.